Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to the Thursday night show for your life motivational movement. About to get started. Yes, I am. Yes, I am, Lewis. Thank you so much, man, for what you do each and every week for the Thursday night show for your life motivational live stream and conference call. And so, like always, before we get started, I want to take care of a couple of house clean things. So first and foremost, for those of you who are dialing in right now via the conference call line, I just want to remind you that this particular message that I'm sharing tonight is also available via live stream. And so if some of you have been trying to figure out, well, how do you tune into the live stream? Let me tell you how you do that. You're going to simply just go to showupforyourlife.com, showupforyourlife.com. When you get there, you're going to simply look for the live stream banner, click on the live stream banner, and it's going to take you directly to this video. And you'll be able to see me deliver this message live from my home studio. Now, as you're here watching the video, I want to remind you that if you simply go ahead and look right below the video, if you look right below the video, you'll see some share buttons, and you can go ahead and share this motivational message with anybody else that you really truly believe should be joining in. So you can go ahead and share it on social media, hit the share button. You can share it on Twitter, you can share it on Facebook, you can share it on Google+, you can share it on the various social media platforms. And if you would, take this time right now, this moment, to go ahead and hit the share button and just simply drop a quick line. Let them know, hey, come join us. Hey, come be inspired tonight. Hey, join the Show Up For Your Life motivational live stream. Join the Show Up For Your Life motivational movement. So I would really appreciate if you took the time to do that. So just very, very quickly, if you look right below the video, you'll see a couple buttons where you can press the share button. It just gives you a quick opportunity to share this particular message with people who are on social media. So you can do that right now as I speak. And so for those of you who are tuning in right now via the conference call line, I also want to tell you that you can go ahead and help us to go ahead and continue to spread the word. And so here are a couple of things that you can do. If you can right now, you can go ahead and go on your social media feed, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Facebook. And if you and I are connected, you can go ahead and hit the share button on some of the posts that have been posted out during the day. My assistant Brenda has shared some posts on my personal page, on my Facebook page, and also in the Show Up For Your Life group. And so you can very quickly go ahead and hit the share button and let people know, hey, we're about to get started. Or this will also be a great time for you to go ahead and send a quick text message and let people know that we are about to get started on the Thursday night Show Up For Your Life motivational movement. So you want to go ahead and text them right now, the conference call number, as well as the access pin, or you can go ahead and text them the link to be able to join us live for the live stream. So I always want to share that with you because I want to let you know that first and foremost, the only reason why we can honestly look and say that this Show Up For Your Life motivational movement, this live stream and conference call has been taking place now for over 5 years, going on 6 years, is really because of all of you. It's the reason why literally we've been able to share these motivational messages with people all over the United States and also in different countries. People have tuned in to listen to us from Bahamas, from Nigeria, from Kenya, from Dominican Republic, from Puerto Rico, from Belize. I mean, it's amazing. We've had people dial in from all different type of places, from Costa Rica. And let me just tell you, it is really humbling. And I am just so very grateful that we are able to share this motivational message with people literally all across the world. And so I also want to thank you for being a part of the Show Up For Your Life motivational movement. So one more time, before we continue and move forward, if you're watching this via the live stream, if you would look right below the video, hit the share button and let people know that we're getting started right now, that we are literally about to get started on the Show Up For Your Life motivational message for tonight. And also, if you're listening to me via the conference call line, go ahead and send a quick text message or hit the share button on social media and let people know that this is the time right now to be joining us. And so, of course, I want to thank you for doing that. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, not quite sure how you found out about the Thursday night Show Up For Your Life motivational live stream or conference call, but let me just tell you, we are excited. We're super happy that you have chosen to join us. So we just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining the movement. Truly hope that you're going to find something tonight that you're going to be able to apply to your life, apply to your business, and most importantly, put you in position to take your life to the next level and maybe really truly trigger something in you to make you want to show up at an entirely different level. You know, as part of the Show Up For Your Life motivational movement, all of us here, we believe in the words of Woody Allen when he said that 80% of success is simply showing up. And all too often, There are so many people who are just going through life, and what I like to call really going through life, really in park, in neutral, and they're not doing anything significant in their life. They're sleeping on their gifts, their skills, and their talents, and they're not showing up. And so the people who join this movement are people who are making the commitment to showing up, people who are making the commitment not to just live a life of mediocrity and to just go through the motion, but who have made the commitment that they want to do something extraordinary, that they want to live out their gifts, their calling, and their purpose in their life. And so if you are that person, we thank you and we welcome you aboard. We thank you so much for being a part of the Show Up for Your Life motivational movement. So here's what I want to talk to you about tonight. My message tonight, I'm entitling Do It Now. Do it right now. You know, all too often we have a major goal or something that we want to do, and we keep talking about what we're going to do in the future. And we say, well, you know what? I'll write the book within the next couple of years. You know, I'll start the business within the next couple of years. I'll go ahead and get that second degree within the next couple of years. Or, you know, I'm going to go ahead and change career paths within the next couple of years. But let me ask you a question. What if the next couple of years doesn't come? You know, it's crazy. It's one of those things that we don't really want to think about. But you know what? Tomorrow's not promised. And so really the best time for you to move forward, the best time for you to make some things happen is right now. You know, the reason why I'm bringing this up is, you know, I just came off this past weekend. I had my 20th high school reunion. And so, yes, you can do the math. And no, I am not old, okay? I'm not old. I rebuke you for saying that. I'm not old. But I have my 20th high school reunion. And so it was just an awesome experience to go back and hear these people that I was with in high school and seeing many of the faces and seeing how so many people look the same. And, you know, maybe they changed, but I could still see a little bit of remnants of their face, of that familiar face that I was really familiar with back in high school. And I tell you, when I was leaving there, here's what I realized is that 20 years goes by so much faster than you think. And so what I know is that time absolutely flies. And so you probably know what I'm talking about. If you think about a significant goal, a dream, or something that you've been wanting to do that perhaps you've been putting off, chances are, if you've been putting it off long enough, you realize that, wow, a year has gone by. Now, maybe 2 years have gone by, 3 years have gone by, 5 years gone by. And before you know it, you're a decade, 10 years have gone by, and you still haven't moved forward on your goals and your dreams. And you still haven't done that thing that you know that you've been wanting to do and that you've been meaning to do. And so it was very sobering for me to be reflecting and thinking about, my goodness, it is so crazy how fast 20 years went by. And so it also made me think about, here's something that Mark Twain said. He said that 20 years from now, I want you to think about wherever you are right now in your life. And so whether you are in what I call the first quarter of life, whether you're in the second quarter, whether you're halfway in or you're within the fourth quarter of life, and what I'm saying to you is 20 years from now, here's what Mark Twain said, 20 years from now, you're going to be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do as opposed to the things that you did do. And so what I'm saying to you is this: whatever it is that has been sitting on your heart, whatever it is that you've been thinking about doing, you've been meaning to do, there is no better time for you to do it than right now, this moment. There's an old Chinese proverb, and here's what it says. It says that the best time for you to have planted a tree is 20 years ago. And if you didn't plant that tree 20 years ago, the second best time for you to plant that tree is right now, this moment. This is the moment right now for you to do that thing that you know in your heart that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do. And so I want you right now to start thinking about and start reflecting and looking at your personal life. And I want you to be thinking about, what are some things that you've been putting off, some things that you've been wanting to do that, I mean, you have literally seriously contemplated doing, but you just haven't moved forward on it yet. You know, I was speaking to one of my friends today. She gave me a call and she said, Andy, you know, I haven't spoken to you in a while, but I just want to let you know. And she happened to have been battling cancer. And she has just completely just changed her eating regimen. She's completely changed her exercise regimen. And she says, Andy, you're not going to believe this. They didn't just say that my cancer is in remission. She said that literally my cancer is showing up as cured. In other words, there is no more signs whatsoever of cancer in my body. And she says, man, I am so grateful. And I'm telling you, the only way that I was able to do this is through my mindset and also through changing what I put into my body. And she says, I believe that the body can literally heal itself. And she says that that's why I'm writing a book. And so I said, wow, you're writing a book. That's awesome. Well, when do you think you're going to be done with your book? And she says, well, you know, I plan on being done with my book by next year. And then I was listening to her say that. And so a part of me is very excited for her. But there's another part of me that understands that we all have to have a sense of urgency. And the reason why I say we have to have a sense of urgency is because tomorrow is not promised. And let me tell you, I literally had just gotten off the phone with my friend who told me that she had literally become cancer-free, that she wants to write a book. And so we got into a conversation about how much time it took me to write my book, Show Up for Your Life, 7 Principles to Living an Extraordinary Life. And I had to be honest with her. I said, listen, you're not going to believe this. There was a moment that I put the book down and I didn't get back to revisiting it and doing the things that I do. I literally put the book down for a year. And when I say put the book down, meaning I started it and I put it down when it was time for me to enter the final editing. And I found ways to create excuses for myself to not get it done. But I told her, truth be told, as far as the amount of time that it took me to write the book, it literally took me about 3 months to write the book. And I told her that during those 3 months, I had laser focus. During those 3 months, I had a regimen every single day. I was committing a couple hours a day to actually writing my book and editing and going through the stories and getting things transcribed and so forth. And I shared that with her so I could put things into perspective to let her know that, you know what, you really don't need a full year to write the book. Now, here's what the crazy thing is. And the reason why I share this with you is literally I hung up with her and about an hour and a half later, I get a text message from my friend's wife. And she sends me a text. She says, Andy, when you get a moment, is there any way that we can talk for a moment? I said, absolutely. Give me a second. Got to wrap something up and I'll give you a quick phone call. And then so I call her up. I say, hey, how's everything going? She says, not too good. I said, well, why do you say not too good? And she says, well, and she goes on to tell me that her husband, who is my good friend, her husband is really the only reason why I really know her. She said that her husband's mother was walking down the street and she got hit by a car. And unfortunately, by the time the paramedics got there, unfortunately, it was too late. And so she passed away. And so she was calling me to let me know that his mother passed away and also to give me the funeral arrangements. Let me tell you something. When I hung up that phone, that hit me hard. Because number one, all of us, for the most part, we know what it's like to have the love of a mother. And for those of us who are still blessed enough and fortunate enough to still have our mother with us, we can only imagine what it would be like to lose a mother. And for those of us who have lost a parent, and I'm blessed and fortunate that my mom is still alive and doing well, thank God. But I have lost my father. I lost my father back in 2007. And so for those of us who've lost a parent, we know how heavy that burden is. And to think that he lost his mom so abruptly, you know, that she got hit by a car. And there's such a sobering moment because it makes us realize that really tomorrow's not promised, that we just don't know what we don't know. And so it's easy that when we're talking about the things that we want to accomplish in life, that we have an outward outlook and we think about what we're going to do and what we should do and what our 5-year game plan is, what our 10-year game plan is. But truth be told, none of us know exactly how much time we have left. And because of that, what it means is that we have to have a sense of urgency. When it comes specifically to our goals and our dreams, that we have to get seriously serious about making things happen. Theodore Roosevelt said that you got to do the best you can with what you have, with where you are right now. In other words, don't put it aside. Don't say, I'm going to take care of it tomorrow, that I'm going to do it next week, or I'm going to do it next year. No, if it's knocking on your heart, if you know that this is something that you want to do it right now, this moment. And the reason why I share that with you is because at some point, I truly believe that all of us, that we've been given something significant that we have to do with our life. And it's our responsibility to engage in doing the work. And depending on what stage you are in your life, sometimes doing the work and putting in the time and the effort right now may mean that you are going to do something that you're not going to be around to be able to see the fruits of your labor. But the mere fact that you did it, you've left something behind to create an impact and a lasting impact in other people's lives. If you think about that quote, that old Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and the second best time is now. And so this past weekend, my wife and I swung by to go check on my mom to see how she was doing. And my brother met me over there as well. And so we had a good old time. We were hanging out with my mom. And while we were there, my mom said, oh my gosh, she says, well, listen, do you guys like avocados? We said, yeah, absolutely. We love avocados. And I was telling my mom, I said, yeah, we like them. And I said, you know what, they're pretty costly when we go to the grocery store. And my mom said, well, you're not going to believe this, that, you know, we have an avocado tree in the backyard and it's loaded with avocados. So me and my brother looked at each other. We're like, there's an avocado tree in the backyard? We don't remember there ever being an avocado tree in the backyard. And she goes, no, listen, your grandmother planted that tree back in like 1992 in the backyard. She planted that tree long time ago in the backyard. And the beautiful thing is, my mom said that for years, that avocado tree was taking time to grow. And for years, the avocado tree wasn't bearing any fruit. But my mom said that she went back there, did a little pruning, did a little something. And now the avocado tree is loaded. And so while we were standing back there and we're sort of reaching up, we're grabbing these avocados, we're picking up the avocados from the ground and so forth. And I'm thinking about this, that my grandmother who planted that tree, my grandmother never had the opportunity to be able to eat the avocados that came from that tree. But because she took the time to plant that tree, my mother, myself, my brother, and many other members of our family are able to go ahead and eat from the fruit of her labor. And so what I'm saying to you is that sometimes there are certain things that if you're willing to do it right now, that you may not see all the fruits of your labor. You may not necessarily be the one who's going to be able to eat from the tree, but understand that if you're willing to plant the tree now, if you're willing to nurture it now, if you're willing to do the work right now and go after your goals and your dreams, if you're willing to do something significant now, like write the book, if you're willing to do something significant now, like start the business, if you're willing to do something significant now, like invest in your family, invest in your children, invest in those around you, if you want to do something significant, like maybe perhaps start a nonprofit organization, if you're willing to plant the seed right now, there's a chance that not only is it going to make a significant impact in your life, but there's also a strong probability that you're going to plant such a tree that you're going to be able to create a blessing onto many others. And so, you know, here's what I need you to realize, that a very shallow life is a life that is just centered around yourself. A life where it's just about what you can get and what you can accomplish and what you can purchase and what you can buy. But if you want to create a life of significance, it's about doing something that's going to create an impact in other people's lives. It's about doing something that is going to be able to touch the lives of those who are behind you, those that you sort of leave behind. And that's why it's so important that right now, that you don't play it safe. That's why it's so important that right now, that you be willing to do it now, that you be willing to move forward, that you be willing to get uncomfortable and do something that maybe perhaps you've never done before. And so I don't know what that thing is for you, but you know what that thing is that you've been thinking about doing, that you've been meaning to do, but you just literally have put it aside. You've just pushed it to the wayside. And what I'm saying to you is that this is the time. Opportunity loves no better time than right now. And if for some reason you feel as if you don't see the opportunity, what I'm saying for you is to create an opportunity. Somebody said that when opportunity doesn't knock, then what you've got to do is literally build a door. And so you've got to give opportunity something to actually physically knock on, a door to go through. And so I want to challenge you right now to look at your life right now. I want you to be thinking about it for a moment and really reflect for a moment and really think about what is something that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, that maybe perhaps you've been putting it off. And you know that this is something that you should act on. You know that this is something you do. And every single time you keep coming up with excuses. Well, I don't have the money. Well, this is not the right timing. Oh, I'm too old, or I'm too young, or I don't have the right support, or next year when the kids get a little older, or, maybe if I had a little more energy. And what I'm saying is that is a bunch of baloney. What I'm saying is that you've got to act right now and stop giving yourself excuses to not show up. Stop giving yourself excuses to push your goals and your dreams to the side. Stop giving yourself excuses to not do that thing that you know in your mind that you have literally put in your mind that you've been wanting to do. And so I'm thinking about right now for my friend that I'm going to be seeing over the weekend and see him at his mother's funeral. I wonder, for the people who are going to be sitting in that funeral and they begin to reflect, I wonder if they were the ones that something happened to them completely unexpected. I wonder what goals or what dreams would have pretty much died with them. And so it's one of those things that we don't like to think about. But, that's one of the things that I can appreciate about funerals, as difficult as they are, is they get us to reflect. And they get us to start reflecting and thinking about our lives. And we think about our mortality. And we start to reflect on a moment. And we start realizing that life is fragile. And we literally could be here today and gone tomorrow. And if we were gone tomorrow, would we be able to say that we lived full out? Or, as people were standing at our funeral and giving our eulogy, would they be discussing all the things that we talked about that we wanted to do, all the things that we said that we meant to do, that we never quite acted on, that we never really moved forward on? That's why George Eliot said that it's never too late to become the person that you could have been. It's never too late to become the person that you might have been. And so some of us, we love giving those old stories on what we could have did or what we used to do. And what I'm asking you is, well, what are you going to do right now? What is it that you're going to get uncomfortable about? How are you going to become laser focused and have a sense of urgency to start knocking down doors and making things happen in your life? Because let me tell you, not everyone is going to have the opportunity to have someone to have this conversation with them, to get them to start looking at their life from a different perspective, to get them to stop sitting on their goals and their dreams, to get willing to get a little bit uncomfortable and literally lean into life and do something that maybe perhaps they've been putting off. And so I know for me personally, having these conversations, and I'm telling you that as I share this message with you, I'm not exempt from anything that I'm sharing with you. Everything that I'm sharing with you, I have to be thinking about in my own personal life. And on a daily basis, I have to be asking myself, well, Andy, are you living full out? Andy, are you showing up? Andy, are you doing what you believe that you've been called to do? Are you listening to the whisper? Steven Spielberg, one of the things, I was watching an interview by Steven Spielberg, who many of you have known is probably perhaps one of the most successful men in Hollywood, billionaire, but not a billionaire because he was chasing the money, but billionaire because of the amount of success all of his movies has had that he's actually directed. And he says that when we go through life, he said that there's a significant difference between intuition and your consciousness. And he says that what we have to learn to listen to is that intuition, that inner voice. And he says your consciousness will scream at you and literally will yell at you and say, no, do this. But he says that, that's just your consciousness. But he says that when you talk about your intuition, he said your intuition is often tied into your dreams and your destiny. And he says that your intuition will rarely scream at you. He says, as a matter of fact, it never screams. Your intuition will whisper. And when it whispers, it will tell you what you need to do. It'll whisper and tell you, you need to write the book. It'll whisper and tell you, you need to start that business. It'll whisper and tell you, you need to work a little harder on your marriage. It'll whisper and tell you, you need to go ahead and invent that thing that you know is not necessarily working. It'll whisper and tell you, excuse me, that you've got so much more inside of you. And so my question for you is, are you listening to the whisper? Or are you going through life just putting it to the side? Are you listening to the whisper? Or are you simply making excuses to yourself on a daily basis? That's one of those questions that only you can respond to. And so you know what you've been sleeping on. You know what's been lying dormant in you. You know what is in you that if God forbid something were to happen, that idea, that thought would go away with you. You know, unfortunately, we lost the great Dr. Miles Monroe, but he used to talk about all the time. He used to talk about this. And perhaps one of his quotes that is quoted the most. But basically, all he needs us to think about, and I'm having this sobering moment, is that he talked about how out of all the places in the world, that beyond all the other areas in the world, that perhaps the most richest places are the actual cemeteries. And all he wanted us to do was to think about, as rich as this world is, there are places obviously that have diamonds, that have gold, that have uranium. There are places that have the most abundant soil. There are places that have, unimaginable, valuable natural resources. But he says what exceeds the value of all those things is human potential. Excuse me. And he says that the reason why obviously the cemetery is perhaps one of the richest places is because he says that underneath the soil is all these people who have passed away with all this human potential still in them, where they didn't move forward and they didn't do that thing that they were called to do. And so what I'm saying to you is, stop putting it to the side. And what I'm saying to you is to do it right now. If you get nothing else from this message, all I'm simply doing, if I could simplify this message for you, all I'm saying is that thing that is sitting on your heart, that thing that you've been wanting to do, that you've been meaning to do, that you've been putting off, all I'm saying is that there is no better time than right now. Mark Twain said that 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do as opposed to the things that you did do. Chinese proverb says this, that the best time that you could have planted the seed, the best time that you could have written a book, the best time that you could have started a business, the best time that you could have changed your fitness regimen, the best time that you could have made the career change, the best time that you could have done whatever it is that you wanted to do was years ago. But if you didn't do it back then, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 1 year ago, then the second best time is right now. And George Eliot reminds us over and over again that it's never too late. No matter what you may think in your mind, it is never, ever, ever, ever too late to become the person that you could have been and the person that you might have been. And so what I'm saying to you is, do it now. Do it right now, this moment. Don't make any more excuses. And as the great Theodore Roosevelt would say, do the best you can with what you have, with where you are right now. But most importantly, do it now. All right. Well, this wouldn't be Andy Henriquez if I didn't end by telling you this. Show up for your lives, ladies and gentlemen, because if you don't, nobody else will. All right. Well, listen, once again, for those of you who sort of tuned in last week was what I call a double hitter. In other words, I delivered this motivational message last week, and then following the motivational message, shortly thereafter, my wife and I conducted a live stream event. And I want to let you know that once again, we're going to be doing another live stream event, and you literally have another maybe 20 minutes or so that you can actually register to be able to join us for this live stream event. And so during this live stream event, what we're going to be talking about is basically we're firm believers that every single one of us has special gifts, talents, and skills. But not all of us have, number one, identified what those gifts and skills and talents are. And the other thing is, not all of us have really figured out how to monetize those gifts, how to capitalize those gifts, how to leverage those gifts. And so we're doing a live stream that's all about how you can leverage your gifts, your skills, and your talents, and how you can actually monetize them. And so it is going to be a tremendous live stream. That's going to be coming up tonight at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Even if for some reason you have a previous obligation, you won't be able to join us live, you can still register and you'll get access to the replay. So let me just tell you how you can go ahead and register real quickly before we go ahead and get started. You're going to go to yourpowercoupletv.com. Once again, that is yourpowercoupletv.com. When you go to yourpowercoupletv.com, just real quickly, put in your name, your email address, telephone number, and then you'll get the information as well as the link to be able to join us live at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. If you put your telephone number, you'll also get a text reminder, and you'll be able to go ahead and join us for a live stream. This is going to be a powerful live stream. Really going to be able to share some golden nuggets, and especially for those of you who maybe you know you have a gift, a skill, and a talent, and you just haven't figured out how to monetize it, or you're still spinning your wheels. You're like, I don't know if I have a gift, a skill, talent. I assure you, you do. And we're going to tell you how you can identify it, how you can leverage it, and ultimately how you can monetize it. So I want to make sure that you absolutely join us for that. In addition to that, I want to remind you that we do have a private group that you can join me and the rest of the Show Up For Your Life family. If you simply open up a web browser and type in showupgroup.com, showupgroup.com, when you do that, you'll be able to get straight access to our private Facebook page. And when you join our Facebook page, just send us a little quick request to join the group. And we would gladly have you come into and be part of the group. That is where you can go ahead and post some of your additional questions and comments for those of you who are going to be tuning in and joining us in the group. That's where we sort of take the conversation offline and continue this conversation for those of you who are part of the Show Up For Your Life movement. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm literally just going to take 2 questions and 2 comments from tonight's message. If you got a quick question or a comment, we're going to go ahead and open up the lines. And then I've got to jump right off and get ready for this live stream that's going to be taking place at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So with that being said, Lewis, let's go ahead and open up the lines. And I'll go ahead and take 2 quick questions or comments from tonight's message. And of course, I look forward for those of you who are going to be joining us for the live stream. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you, Lewis, so much. So I'll go ahead and take 2 quick questions or comments. If you'd like to give me feedback from tonight's message, anything that spoke to you tonight or anything that you're going to do or any value you got from tonight's message, just press *6 to unmute your line. *6 to unmute your line. Remember, you got to press *6, otherwise we won't be able to hear you. Hello, you're unmuted. Go ahead, speak up. Okay, I hear somebody talking, Lewis. Not quite sure if they realize they're unmuted. But if somebody else has a quick question or comment, press *6 to unmute your line. I don't believe we have any issues with the conference call line. We could see you all on the line, so go ahead and just press *6 to unmute your line. Hey, Stevie, how you doing, buddy? Yes. Mm. All right, man. Hey, Steve. Hey, thanks, man. Stevie, man. Always great to hear from you, man. Thank you for your feedback. And that's right, man. You know, we could do something right now that would literally leave a blessing for our children's children. You know, as a matter of fact, the word says that, you know, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. An inheritance could mean so many things, even more than just a material thing, but just, you know, planting seeds of greatness and making things happen, man. So, appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'll take one more question, comment, or feedback before we go ahead and jump off. I've got to go ahead and get ready for this next live stream. So press *6 to unmute your line. *6 to unmute your line. Hey, Darren, what's up, buddy? Awesome. And so the key to that is that most important, man, we got to just take that action. And that's why we literally, Darren, we talk about it all the time, man, is making sure that we absolutely do it now. You know, it's so easy to keep putting stuff off, man. And we all of us have to be able to monitor that. You know I've been guilty of it, and I'm sure many of you have been guilty of it. And so we just got to be willing to move forward, man, and take action right away. And so always good to hear from you. Go ahead and make sure you post that in the group. Let me just tell you, I want to thank all of you for being part of Show Up for Your Life Motivational Movement. Once again, you could join me and my wife at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. You're going to go to yourpowercoupletv.com, yourpowercoupletv.com to go ahead and register, and you'll be able to go ahead and join us. So with that being said, Lewis, I'm going to jump off the line, my friend. You could go ahead and close us out. I got to prep for this next call, my friend. And thank you so much. I'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Thank you.